Hello and welcome. We're so glad you're here. This is the Unlock Your Blocks podcast. My name is Elyssa Smith, and I have a really fantastic guest today. I am so excited to welcome Brenda Mundt to the show today. And I'm just going to give you her sort of official bio, but then we're going to actually hear from her in just a couple of minutes about how she got to be doing what she's doing and her view of things like self-sabotage and nervous system regulation are from her professional perspective and personal perspective. So Brenda, I'm so glad to have you here. Let me just read your bio really quick. So Brenda is a radiant soul energizer, and her mission is to guide individuals on a transformative journey toward emotional well-being, inner radiance, how good does that sound, and vitality. She believes that true healing starts with embracing your emotions, unlocking your inner energy, and connecting with your authentic self. She helps people navigate their emotional landscape, release blockages, and discover inner strength so they can live life filled with energy, joy, and purpose. She loves helping her clients embark on a journey of self-discovery and emotional revitalization. I'm, again, with the words, like, this is so beautiful, Brenda. Empowering you to shine your brightest and live your best life. So Brenda, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so excited that you're here.
Well, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. So I would really love to start off with just kind of a brief overview of what it is to be a radiant soul energizer. Like, what is that? I know what you do specifically, but help our audience to kind of understand a little bit. What does that look like when someone works with you?
It's really all-encompassing about emotional healing and working through all the muck, I'm going to call it.
Yes, that's fair. That's a fair terminology for
working
this.
through all the muck to live our best life and to live a radiant life because life is very short and we should be here to enjoy the best that we can. And until we work through all the things that we know that are blocking us and that we don't know that are blocking us, and we need to find those things out. We need to live that radiant best life that we possibly can while we're here.
Absolutely. Now, you have a few different certifications. Do you mind sharing with our listeners what it is specifically that you are certified in? She has so many good, like, holistic things happening here. Go for it.
So I am a certified breath coach. I am a grief recovery method specialist. I am a certified personal trainer, a PN1 nutrition coach, a wellness coach, and a fitness instructor.
Yes, right? So guys, like, literally, she's health in a box. Like, if anyone needs health in a box, like, just hire Brenda. Like, this is amazing. She's also like the fittest person. If you're not watching this on YouTube, like, you need to see Brenda because she is like the fittest person and she's gorgeous. Okay, anyway, that's like a sidebar, but people need to know you are so ripped and strong. I watch your stories and I like see pictures of you working out. I'm like, whoa, this woman is really strong. Beast mode. So can you share with us a little bit about how you became this, the radiant soul energizer that you are? So how did you get into things like breathwork and the grief? And you said it really quickly, so I want to make sure people heard. It's a grief recovery specialist method. Sorry, I can't say those words in that order again.
Grief recovery method specialist.
Okay, yes. Yeah. So if you don't mind highlighting that and the breathwork, can you tell us a little bit about how your life pointed you to this profession?
So you know how they always say that your mess becomes your message?
Yes.
So I had gotten involved in breathwork and the grief recovery method program and became a specialist due to my own healing journey. I had unexpectedly lost my husband in September of 21, and my whole world was turned upside down. And I knew very quickly, because I had always been into personal development, that I knew I was going to need help to figure out how to navigate life without him, because he was my everything. He was my soulmate, my world. And so I quickly knew that I needed to do something. And so granted, it did have to wait a certain time period until things calmed down a little bit before I could kind of jump in. But I first went actually through the grief recovery method program. And, but when I joined that, I did the massive 4-day intense training where it was taking me through the program itself to help myself. But then I also was able to turn around and got trained to be able to turn around and help others as well. So that was my first healing modality that kind of really helped take away I don't want to say take away, but I guess kind of take away that massive intense pain that I felt after I lost my husband. And then after that, just continued on my healing journey, because I feel that there's not one thing that takes care of everything, you know? And so continuing on my healing journey, and I came across breathwork. Granted, I had heard of it and heard very great things about it, but never dabbled in it. And so then I came across that and checked that out and everything, fell in love with it, did my first transformational breathwork journey, and had a holy, can I swear on here?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I had a holy shit moment.
Yes, we're all for the holy shit moments. Come on, bring it.
And then so after that, I mean, and just how much it helped me and continues to help me. I'm like, life is challenging and life is hard. I'm like, everybody should be doing this. And I just fell in love with it. And I went all in and I wanted to get trained. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So a big focus for you has been being able to help others through massive tragic grief, because it was sudden for you and it was a traumatic loss for you, and you really found a few saving graces. And so now you are able to bring that to other people. That's got to be so, I mean, I think it is part of our healing journey, right? I mean, I got certified in the stuff that messed me up. I think it really is. It's part of our healing journey to be able to pass along the roadmap when we struggled through without one. And then we finally found a landmark, and then we could make a map and pass it to the next person. I think it really does help with the healing process.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that you do that kind of work. I've had so many one-to-one clients that have had sudden or tragic losses, or they've dealt with trauma in their past that leaves them grieving. And you know, there's always therapy, there's always coaching and stuff, but I think grief-specific help is really, really can be transformational with that pain. Yeah. So if you feel comfortable sharing, I would love for you to let our listeners in a little bit on what your personal journey of growth has looked like recently. You and I met last year, about 6 months ago. And actually, we were joking about how funny this is because we're full circle. We met for the first time officially on your podcast when you had me on your podcast a few months ago. And then we worked together. You wanted some support with some things and we worked together, and now you're going to be on my new podcast. So it's just this beautiful cycle. But I love how self-aware you are. And I wonder if you might feel comfortable sharing, what does this look like? Like, how do you know when you might want some more support with healing from things like self-sabotage or being visible, you know, imposter syndrome, procrastination? How do you know how did you know when you wanted some more help with that? Like, it just wasn't going away?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know,
And I want to say too, like, Brenda is a go-getter. You see things and then you just go get them. Like, you've had your podcast now for forever, and I see you all the time putting new goals in front of yourself and going after them. And also, just like the rest of us, there were places that you were like, I just can't quite get beyond this, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And as you know, I got to a point last year where I felt that I need something to help me get to that next level, because I was just feeling stuck.
Sure.
And I think for me, it was just really feeling like I kept beating my head against the wall. You know, and I'm like on this hamster.
We're all nodding. We all know what that feels like. I'm raising both hands. Yes, we know.
Yeah, it's like beating my head against the wall and being on this hamster wheel and just keep going around and around and around and around, and wondering like, okay, what am I missing that things are not changing? And there were certain things in my life that I had kind of recognized when my husband was still alive yet. And, but I kind of stuffed it back, stuffed it down, but like, no, that can't be it. That can't be it. I'm like, I'm an adult now, I'm like, this is from childhood stuff that should be bothering me. I dealt with that, all this kind of stuff. But then I finally got to a point where I'm like, I don't think I dealt with this.
Why won't it leave me alone? I think it is kind of trippy, because when you're a go-getter, right? So, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a high achiever. That's why this is that's why these topics are interesting to us, is because we were all trained to be like these little perfect, people pleasers, and and be the person that balances everyone else and overworks and does more and is better and continues to improve herself. So we're always looking for that next thing. And then when we can't get there, it's like, what is malfunctioning? What is wrong?
Yeah. And then because when you were on my podcast, and then we had the conversation there and afterwards. And that's why I reached out to you for help, because I felt like we aligned, and I felt you were like my next step to.
We had such a good connection. Yeah. That was so powerful.
To kind of, to figure things out. And the time that the days that we had spent together where we worked together were, for me, I mean, after, 57 years, I'm not realizing.
I'm sorry. You're not 57. We're just going to move on and pretend like you didn't say that.
I don't feel like it, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, after all these years, not realizing that I was dealing with abandonment issues.
Yep.
And then
it's sneaky, man. It is sneaky. Like, you won't even know what the root of it is. You'll just know. Like, the one thing I tell people in any of my communities to watch for is, like, when you do feel like you're hitting your head against that brick wall and you keep trying the things that you know to do, but it's just still there. Like, there's some root that's underneath there that we can't get to it on our own. And I think that's what's so trippy, because we are all used to being able to do it and handle it, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to this place, whether it's in your business or whether it's in your personal life or whatever it is, and you're just like, why can't I handle this like I handle everything else? Yeah.
And I want to say too, how when that kind of came to my attention, that it's like, hey, you're dealing with abandonment issues. And even going through breath work, and none of that really came up at all. But I think, granted, I feel like I have, a lot to work through over the years and everything, because I tell my clients, I'm like, we're like one huge, massive onion.
Yes.
And we just continue pulling back those layers, but we're never able to get to the core of it, because we're all dealing with generational trauma.
Yep.
But the thing is, then when I worked with you though, and became aware that I was dealing with abandonment issues, then I had that next day, I went and I did a breathwork journey, about, dealing with some of the trauma. And one of the things we're talking about abandonment, and I had shared with you how I had this massive, massive release when I did that breathwork journey, and it was insane. So, I mean, and I guess that's why I really stress to people, I'm like, it would be amazing for all of us, if we had one modality that worked for us and we could just stick with it. But I truly believe that there's so many different modalities that to help us on our journey of healing. And you were part of that for me.
I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. I think what's so powerful about this is that you just knew, like, you were like, okay, I need something that's next. And then we talked and you're like, that might be it. And then you were able to take it with all the other tools, because you have a massive toolbox. You've done so much inner work. Like, you came into this, you were not a newbie to trauma. You were not a newbie to self-development, self-awareness. Like, knew yourself really well when we started working together. And it was like at the right moment, the next step revealed itself. And then you could continue to take the tools that you had and like push that breakthrough as far as you could go. It's been really beautiful to see that, and to watch someone else who is, in this kind of healing field because, it's like, it's one thing if you're brand new to this and it's like, oh, it's blowing my mind that there might be trauma, but it's a whole other thing if you've done all the work, like you've done the therapy, you've gone to the groups, you've read the books, and you've been on the podcast, and then you're still like stuck. And I think it can be easy for us to lose a little bit of hope when we're like, maybe it's even, somebody who's listening today who is in a field like this where it's healing or it's trauma based or it's whatever. But I have found too that it just really helps to bring someone else in, just even because you can use all your tools, but just to have that other person, that safe space reflecting it back to you.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of take the ball and run with it like you have.
Yeah. Because you figure, and I think a lot of times it does take that outside person to be able talking with them. Because I shared a lot with you.
You did. You were very open.
And with that, though, you were able to identify things that I couldn't.
Right.
And it's kind of like because we're so close to ourselves, we're close to everything inside of us that we can't see what's right in front of us.
I like this phrase. Somebody told me one time that you can't read the label from inside the jar. Somebody said there's another version of that too, but like another analogy. But I think it's really true And I think the best we can do is notice the warning signs that we're missing something on the label, just to understand that we're not meant to just keep hitting our heads against the wall. We're not meant to just continue feeling like everything is desperate and we're in a hamster wheel going nowhere. And so if you're feeling that, it might be helpful to have someone else read the label and then to go and get whatever other modalities. I think we can really trust ourselves a lot more than we were taught that we could. And to trust that we will know the next step when it presents itself. Like your next step was then to go and take the breathwork journey and to really kind of guide yourself through that. So I'd love to hear what it's been like from you, because I have observed that you're just like, you've been on fire. I mean, to me, watching your progress and watching the incredible work that you're doing at this point and what you're prepping for. Do you mind sharing what your big thing is right now, and how has the journey of nervous system regulation, identifying hidden trauma, how have those things contributed to being able to move forward? Do you mind sharing that?
So, I'm not sure if I'm going to answer all this in the right order.
That's fine. I asked you a big question. You can pick out parts of it and throw the rest away.
So what I'm working on, and will be launching this year, is a 12-week program. And the key component of that is transformational breathwork journeys. And it's called the Burnout to Balance Blueprint.
Oh my gosh, I know you said you had a title for it that was so good. I love it. It's so good.
So I'm actually finishing up with my beta launch. I actually have one more week left with my group, and it's actually kind of sad because we're all like next week is going to be the end of it, That's
but I know you have a great program. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, so it's been truly amazing. So each week we have a theme, and one builds on top of the other. And so it does start out, it does start out with some hard, challenging work, because we start out with doing some inner child work. And then as we, like I said, we build one on top of the other. And then like the breathwork journey, I'm going to be guiding them on this coming Thursday. And the last one that we have for the 12 weeks is Unleash Your Power. And I cannot wait to guide them on that journey, because it just seemed like the best journey to guide them on, like unleashing your power, because just go out in the world and just knock it out of the park.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So it sounds like you've really gotten clarity around this. I mean, you've really gone through, I guess I'm not exactly even sure. It's not changes, because when we worked together last year, this was in the works. But how would you say that nervous system regulation and some of the things that we worked on with inner child and root triggers helped you get to where you are ready to launch this? Or anything else about your work journey in building your business, or anything else that it's helped you with. But I think it would be nice if you're able to kind of extract for the listener the journey itself after you kind of identify some of the hidden triggers and traumas.
So for me, when I was piecing this all together, just because of the work that I've done on myself, I know for myself that until you actually kind of do the work, to me, it's like you can sit there and listen to all the courses and all the podcasts and everything that you want, and they'll be beneficial to a point. But until you actually do the work, whether it be the active breath work or doing the pen to paper and, doing the homework and actually taking the time and really digging deep and starting answering some questions, that's kind of really, for me anyway, that was when the transformation really started happening, because you challenged me. I had other people that were challenging me. I'm like, man, this is uncomfortable.
Stop challenging me. I am all done.
But that is where, so it's like I tell my old people, I'm like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because on the other side of that, it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Now, in your experience with all the grief healing that you've done and in your experience with all of the grief healing that you've done and the inner trauma triggers that you've worked on, that could be a really scary thing for someone that this is new for. What advice would you have for somebody who thinks that she probably needs to do some inner work, but maybe she's got some really painful stuff in her past she doesn't want to bring up? What would you, whether she wants to go forward with, breathwork coaching or whether she wants to go forward with trauma work or something like this, how would you recommend that she approach it if it's feeling scary for her?
And I'm speaking from my own experience, is just start talking to a lot of people, and not necessarily people close to you, because once in a while the people that are closest to you really can't help you out that much.
Yeah, that's true. Because sometimes we think that we should only talk to our family of origin or the people that are right around us, and those can be some of the people that understand the least sometimes.
Yeah, because they're people, your friends and your family. We love them, but they're a little bit too close to everything. And it's just kind of really testing the waters and being okay with, like I said, talking to these other people and finding that person that resonates with you, that you feel that you're in alignment with, that you feel comfortable, that you can open up with them. Because I do feel there's a big energy exchange between people and I felt that like with you and I, that when you meet that person, you can feel their energy, and then you feel that alignment, that where you automatically feel comfortable, like that you can open up and you can start sharing. So my recommendation would be is to start reaching out to people, even if it's through social media. I mean, I converse with a lot of people on social media. Some of them I've been fortunate to meet, whether it be virtually and actually some in person when we went to the Powerhouse Women event. And but I've made some really good connections with people that I'm able to talk to about certain things that I can't talk to with my family and my close friends in my hometown.
I think that's true. I really do. I think learning to trust ourselves again is a huge part of trauma healing, and it's a huge part of inner child work. And because when you experience trauma or tragedy, what your nervous system takes away from that is that the world is now an unsafe place. And so trusting people and trusting yourself kind of just takes a back seat. Neither one of those things are really possible in an escalated state where the nervous system and the survival brain think, I can't trust you, I can't trust me, I just need to trust my, survival instincts, which is I'm going to run, I'm going to fight, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And so it's so important, and I love what you said about just start talking to people, but really look for that alignment, because you can have, the thing is, a healthy balance is maybe you've got some trauma to work through, so you're working with some sort of therapist or coach, and then maybe you also have a group of people that you're working through grief work with, right? And so those are other people that don't know you super well, that they're not going to know your entire story like your therapist or your coach, but they're going to understand you from this one perspective that's really important for you to be understood through that perspective. So really trusting your gut to start looking for the right amount of support. And not everyone needs to know your whole story.
Right.
It could just be a piece. It could be a piece here or there. But I love what you said about just finding that aligned place, because as you find safe people, your system will start to trust you again. And I think self-trust is a huge piece of healing no matter what, because if you don't trust yourself, you can't really get to that place of wholeness again. So I wanted to ask you, what is your best tip for someone who is maybe in that same place? Would you say is it the same as the previous question where you're just start talking to people, but if they're feeling like they're on that hamster wheel, what is the first thing you do? Maybe you went through a checklist before you and I ever met, but what do you do when you first get stuck in something? What's your go-to?
Breathwork.
Yeah, that makes sense. And can you explain a little bit about what breathwork is, in case somebody's listening and this is the first time she's hearing about it? Can you explain what a breathwork session is like?
Yeah, so I feel like now breathwork is becoming more common, and I feel there are times that people kind of clump it into one thing.
Okay.
And there are different types of breathwork. So there's the short daily techniques that you can do to help regulate your nervous system when you're totally stressed out, where you can do the breathe in 5, breathe out 5, nice and slow, or you can do the 4, 7, 8, do more rest and digest type breathing techniques to help bring calm back into your body. But when you actually want to start moving the emotions and all that, you want to do a very active type of breath work, which are the most transformational ones. The ones that I guide people on, which are actually 9D breathwork journey. So it's 9-dimensional sound. So
whoa.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. What?
It takes breathwork to a whole different level. So when I got trained in breathwork, it was just because we use music and that has certain pitches to it. So we start out nice and soft and everything. And then as we're building up through the journey, where we're kind of building up the intensity of the breath work. We build up the sound of the music. And while the music is playing, I'm guiding and coaching based off of whatever the theme is for the breathwork journey. And then we kind of bring it to this peak. We have this massive, massive release, which is usually a scream, which feels amazing, by the way. And then
these sessions have to be so odd for someone like walking by. That's amazing, though, because I think, sound does move things through the body. It's a really powerful tool.
Yeah. So even just having the music at first that we did, I'm like, wow, this is insane. This is crazy. But now, so the academy that I'm a part of, Breath Masters Academy, so they have 9D or 9-dimensional breathwork journeys.
I've never even heard of this. Wow.
So it's 9-dimensional audio. So you have to have like earbuds in or headphones, and it is absolutely insane. It is just crazy. I mean, we have like a cinematic trailer that, and I should actually send that to you so you can listen to it with your headphones on, because it's remarkable.
Wow.
I mean, you literally hear one thing on the right side of your ear, and also you hear like a car running over on the other side of your head, and over on the left side of your ear, and it's just the whole surround sound, and it's just insane. But anyway, so with the 9-dimensional, you have their subliminal messaging in there. There's the 432 megahertz, the healing frequencies in there, and then there's like certain other
frequencies, like that the human body is like drawn to certain frequencies to come back to healing.
Yeah. And 400, if I got the number right, I believe it's 432 megahertz. It's the healing frequency.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's so many different things kind of put into it, that gives it the whole 9D and everything. And so, so we have the 9D audio, and then we still do the guiding and the coaching along the way. We have the peak where on the active breathwork journeys, we have the peak where we usually have this massive scream that we release on. And then we kind of...
It's so wild. The fact that you actually say it's a scream. It's not like we just get loud. It's like, no, we scream, and then we move on to the next part.
And I always tell everybody, I'm like, I said, there's going to be a scream. I'm like, but you don't have to scream. But I invite you to scream.
Screaming is recommended.
I invite you to scream. I said, because it's a massive, massive energy release.
Firmly suggest screaming.
Yeah. And then we still kind of finish it off with some active breath work, and then we kind of wind it down. And then we finish off with these, we call them these white bubbles, white light bubbles. And that's kind of what we really tap into, because now we've quieted down the monkey mind and we're into the subconscious, and we're starting to do some rewiring. And then that's when we kind of really bring in put it all together.
Wow. Wow.
It's
like a whole meal.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So I would just love if there's anything else that you want to share about that. How can someone know that it's her time to sort of step into the next level of her healing journey? So you were explaining this feeling of like bashing your head against a brick wall. Was that in like your personal life? Was it in your work life? Like how would you sort of extrapolate that to like, what are we watching for to know in our lives that it's time for the next step of healing?
I'm going to start off by saying that I think you need to be very self-aware.
Yeah.
And for me, it started out actually more on like my career, on the business side of things, my professional side of things, that it's like I wanted to get somewhere and I wasn't getting there. And that's where I felt like I was beating my head against the wall. I was on this hamster wheel that just was making me dizzy, and I wasn't able to get anywhere. But then once I felt like I was kind of making some progress there, and then I would get stuck again. And I'm like, okay,
you've got work goals that you're like, okay, I've got these goals, and you're obviously a goal setter and achiever. Like this is a normal part of your life, is to just go after a goal. And then you're finding that it's really just, you keep getting stuck in that place.
Yeah. It's just like kept getting stuck. And then, because I listened to so many podcasts, but it's all like, self-development podcasts. And then that's kind of why I needed to start looking at things a little bit deeper. And I'm kind of like, okay, it's more than just not doing the right thing. Cause I'm like, I'm working plenty hard.
Yes.
So like, it's something deeper than that. And
yeah.
so
we know how to do that. Right. And we know how to work harder. We know how to do more. We know how to like be better. But that's really, it keeps us stuck when we're up against the nervous system thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it was just the self-awareness that I have because of doing so much work on myself that I realized that I needed to start looking in further. And like I said to me, but it took so many years to kind of realize I'm like, I really never thought that this stuff was bothering me from so many years ago. But then again, when it kind of came, I had a bit of a light bulb moment, but then I still stuffed it down and be like, no, that can't be it. That can't be it. And then I still stayed on that hamster wheel, kept hitting my head against that wall. And then I'm kind of like, okay, I'm like, something's got to change here. And I'm like, because I clearly cannot help myself right now because I'm not seeing what I need to be seen.
Yeah. I think that makes total sense because as high achievers, we are in this place where it's like, again, we read all the self-help books, we listen to all the podcasts, we do the things, we take the courses. And when we know what to do, and we're even doing it, and it's still not moving that bottom line forward, I think that's a really good indicator. Thank you so much for bringing that kind of full circle for us because I think it's difficult to articulate the moment where going into a more like digging back into those triggers because we're like, we don't want to be in pain. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in talking about my past and my pain and my hurts and my losses. Like, let's just move forward. That's what we're good at, right? We're like, just take one for the team and move on. Like, I can't handle it, therefore I will, and we're just gonna keep going. Meanwhile, we're like, dragging a broken leg, or it's like I joke sometimes. If you ever watched Monty Python, there's the Black Knight is guarding the bridge and like somebody, it's a very cartoony, but they like, slice his leg off or whatever. And he's like, it's a flesh wound. It's a flesh wound. I'm fine. Come back and fight like a man, and then it's like by the end, he's just like, he has like no limbs and he's like bleeding and everyone's like, man, you are beat. And he's like, no, I'm not. And I think that's us, like we are like, no, I can handle it. I'll hit my head against that wall 10 more times. No one can know that I didn't, that I can't get there myself. But really, that's where the self-nurturing comes in too, because we have to have compassion on the part of us that's like asking for help. Like, hey, the nervous system is speaking up and saying, I'm not going to let you get any further because we're up against something here. So thank you so much for kind of explaining what it looked like in your scenario. And I love to see the incredible things that you've been able to do in continuing your own healing journey and bringing other people along the healing journey. It's just what you're doing for people, especially because you have this grief perspective, I think is really unique and special. So is there anything else that you have on your mind that you want to just tell somebody who's listening today, who's feeling that hitting her head on the hamster wheel thing or hitting her head on the wall while on the hamster wheel? I don't know. Are we doing it at the same time? Or is the hamster wheel
that would be kind of tricky.
I've got all of my visuals crossed now. No one's going to know what's happening.
The first thing that actually comes to mind is that I feel like not enough people know and realize that we need to feel to heal. That we can sit there and try to be strong and stuff all our emotions down and everything, but all of that stuff stays stored in us and comes out in different ways, whether
it's going to come back out. I'm just picturing like sewage, it's just like you stuff it down, you try and flush it. It's going to come out.
It's going to come out. whether it be from getting sick or aches and pains or lashing out at people for no apparent reason.
Girl, my temper, when I was in the worst of my trauma, I was like, I do not know who I am. I can have a don't mess with me.
And I'll have to say, because after I lost my husband, and I think it goes back to having that self-awareness, and I was just at a place I'm like, I don't like who I am right now. Because this is not me, and I know my life has changed. I knew my life was going to change moving forward because my world got turned upside down because I lost him. But I knew I needed to find some of those steps to move forward because because I did not like where I was at.
I can relate to that. I think when I was in the worst of the trauma healing in my own life, it all comes out sideways. Losing my temper, not being able to be on time anywhere. I mean, my sabotage was so intense in the heights of my trauma that I felt like I couldn't finish anything either, and I would be like losing my temper, not able to finish stuff, running late everywhere. And it's like, this isn't me. It just feels bad to continue operating there. And I think what's so beautiful is that once you realize that things are feeling bad, that's your moment that you get to decide to come a step closer to the light and figure out. Because I really felt like in my journey, I don't know how it was for you in your loss, but I just felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel for a while. There was a period of a few months where it just felt too dark to be taken, you know, to get any better. It felt too dark to get better. So I just think that once you know that that's where you are, that's a really hopeful place. Like you said, that self-awareness can come in. You can start to be more gentle and you can find your people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brenda. This has been a wonderful conversation.
No,
can you let everyone know where they can find you and learn about when... Okay, hold on. Let me see if I get Burnout to Balance Blueprint. Yep. That's what it is? Okay, Burnout to Balance Blueprint is coming out because I want everyone to be able to know about this when it comes officially available to the public.
Yes. Well, it'll be all over my Facebook page, which is under I have my personal page, my name, Brenda Mundt, but I also have my business page, Energized Life Wellness Facebook page. I am on Instagram at Brenda Mundt, and I forgot my A when I first set up my Instagram account.
Oh, no, that wasn't on purpose. I just always assumed it was on purpose. I love it. We're embracing it.
Like, well, it's just going to have to stay that way.
Yep.
But yeah, you can find me either on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome.
And my website is www.energizedlifewellness.com.
Perfect.
And if you want to sign up on my email list, and that way then you will for sure not miss when I launch BBB.
Love it. I love BBB. I love it. BBB, everyone. Fantastic. Thank you, Brenda, so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful. I love it.
I love being in your space. And I'm just so grateful for another conversation. I can't wait to talk again. And everyone, I hope that you'll go follow Brenda, find her everywhere she is on socials, and keep up with what she is doing because she is doing amazing things. Thank you, and we will see you next time.